In the opening scene, Michele Silenzi is shown riding a bicycle to school in Trieste, Italy. He intends to purchase an outfit for Halloween, but they're closed. Next, he sits behind Stella, his lifelong infatuation, at school. A police officer called Giovanna, who also happens to be Michele's mother, interrupts their lesson. She comes there to find out more about the disappearance of a pupil. Giovanna asks that if the class hears from the missing kid, they notify the authorities. Michele's nose starts to bleed after she departs, so he rushes to the restroom. The bullies he has been dealing with for a long time threatens him and takes all of his money from him. Feeling discouraged by the experience, he returns home. He pulls out some spare pennies and chooses to use them to purchase an outfit for the upcoming party. After that, Michele goes to a rusty-looking shop and requests a superhero outfit. The store owner gives him a cheap Chinese cape and an overall that is too tight. Despite not seeming to like the outfit, Michele purchases it. Upon arriving home from work, Giovanna finds Michele in his costume, declining to attend the party because he believes he looks foolish. Sending him out to the party, she tells him he looks nice. There, Michele has fun and even strikes up a conversation with his crush Stella. However, a video of Stella crossing the street is subsequently shown by his bullies. They assert that Michele has been following Stella and that the footage was discovered on his phone. Michele feels humiliated and locks himself in the bathroom. His peers pound on the door from the outside, pleading with him to let them in. Frustrated, Michele hopes he could disappear just as the lights go out. He is shown jumping out of the bathroom window and returns. When Michele wakes up the following morning, his dog is barking at him. He walks to the bathroom to clean his teeth, and is surprised to see only his robe and the brush when he looks into the mirror. In the mirror, his body is not apparent. Quickly leaving, Michele removes his robe. When his mother enters, he is undetected by her, demonstrating that Michele is the only one who can see himself. Michele hastily writes on a piece of paper that he has arrived at school early and puts it on the bed. After reading it, Giovanna brushes the issue off. Bewildered about his next course of action, he dressed in long sleeves. He covers every inch of his body, then heads to school to keep an eye on Stella. The bully is subsequently identified by Michele, who decides to discipline him for bothering him so often. He sheds his clothing and enters the school naked and unseen. He takes the bully's paintball gun during class and shoots the instructor, forcing the teacher to suspend the bully. Michele then heads to the girls' changing area and observes them taking off their clothes. Abruptly, a towel falls across him, revealing his silhouette to everybody. At that moment, he becomes visible once again as his powers begin to dissipate. When the females realize Michele is nude beneath the towel, they scream. The next day, Michele attends his class where a psychologist by the name of Basilai is lecturing about the mental health of teenagers. Since two of Michele's friends have fled their homes in the last month, he believes it is important to comprehend how teenagers think. Michele's hands flame while he listens to the speech, and then they vanish. Luckily, the lesson ends, and he leaves before anybody witnesses his disappearance. As he arrives home, he finds his younger sister Candela in his room. Michele turns to face the wall and begs her to go downstairs. Candela, suspicious, flicks the door open and close, giving the impression that she has departed. Michele begins removing his clothing without looking back to make sure. Candela screams in terror as he turns around and she realizes her brother is invisible. After calming her down, Michele explains that he has abilities because of his Halloween outfit. Giovanna and psychiatrist Basilai collaborate in the police station as they look into the disappearances of the children. Giovanna is adamant that the kids may be abducted, but Basilai counters that their disobedience is typical of their age group. Even after Giovanna gets back home, Michele remains unseen. Giovanna reveals Michele's adoption during a phone conversation. Michele, taken aback and upset, leaves the home and heads to a swing nearby. When Stella gets there, she believes Michele is a ghost while he is swinging. She wants him to be a friend instead of showing signs of fear. He puts on a happy face on the sand to greet her. They resolve to get together once more. Following Stella's departure, Michele notices an unseen figure standing close to him and looking at him. The man shows that he is blind as he leaves while holding a stick. Michele goes to Stella's house at night. Stella is happy to have gained an unseen buddy. After they kiss, Michele's abilities begin to wane. Before Stella can see his face, he flees. Later, a dart punctures Stella's back as she is alone herself in her gymnastics lesson. She passes out as a result of it. Michele has made the decision to inform Stella that he is the invisible boy in another place. Carrying his dog, he heads to her gymnastics lesson. He arrives just in time to find Stella being abducted by a guy wearing a mask. The man is attacked by Michele, and the dog bites his hand. But the man gets away with it, taking the girl with him. The cops show up at the site later. They surmise that the missing kids were actually abducted rather than escaping. Stella awakens in an unfamiliar building, her head cuffed to many cords. She is being questioned there by psychiatrist Basili. It comes out that the children have been abducted by him. After giving the girl various tests, they put her in a jail. There are also 2 of her buddies that vanished before her. The blind man from the day before emerges in front of Michelle unexpectedly the next day while he is by himself at a nearby beach. Before Michelle can pose any questions, the man responds to all of them. He seems to be able to read thoughts. The man answers that Michelle is his father and goes by Andrage when he asks who he is. Michelle says Andrage is lying because he doesn't trust him. Andrage then starts to share his narrative. Before a terrible nuclear explosion rocked the community, he was an ordinary man from a little Russian village. Many people died from radiation exposure, while others experienced lifelong changes. Their DNA changed as a result, giving them extraordinary superhuman skills like flight, telepathy, invisibility, and other things. These individuals, known as the Specials, were sent to the Division, a military camp, in order to be used as weapons. They were overworked by the Division. The specialties became weaker the more power they expended. The fact that everyone was sterile except Andrage and Michelle's mother was another unintended consequence. Therefore, it was difficult to breed new specialties. Michelle was the first extraordinary child that the 2 had, but they whisked him away as soon as he was born. Thus, the parents made the successful decision to flee with Michelle. However, the Division's members were not going to give up. They went after the couple to get the kid returned. While Michelle's mother was invisible, his father possessed the ability to read people's minds. While Andrage and Michelle were able to flee, the Division killed his wife. Back in Italy, Andrage read Giovanna's mind and saw that she was a wonderful person, therefore he placed him in front of her door knowing that Michelle wasn't secure with him. The unusual child now resides in the town, as the residents of the Division have discovered. In order to determine whether a child is unique, they are snatching them and testing them. When Michelle finds out his real origin, he's astonished. Andrage tells him that they don't have much time to discuss since the fisherman next to them believes Andrage is suspicious and has phoned the police, even though he nearly doesn't believe it. Michelle receives an outfit from Andrage that becomes invisible with him. After wiping off the fisherman's memories, he departs. Basili is soon joined by the cops. When Giovanna tells him that Michelle is adopted, Basili starts to think that he could be the unique child. He makes Michelle an offer to go home. Once they get home, Michelle discovers that Basilis's hand injury is exactly where his dog attacked Stella's kidnapper. He gives the stranger a dubious look and attempts to flee. It appears like Basili is preparing to kidnap him and has closed all the doors. After sprinting into a room, Michelle undresses and becomes invisible. He escapes, and Basili comes after him. While strolling through the streets, Michelle spots his tormentor Ivan riding his bike. He begs him to hurry up and drive away as he sits behind him. An anxious Ivan complies. Once they get to a secure location, Michelle shows himself to Ivan and tells him everything about the kidnapping of their classmates. Stella and her pals notice ventilation on the ceiling in the meantime. After climbing each other, Stella is able to step outdoors. She scales a tower and finally arrives at a searching light while sneaking through the guards. She draws a smile on the light and flashes it up to the sky, thinking that her unseen buddy is searching for her. When Michelle notices the happy expression, he knows Stella is making a suggestion to them. He and Ivan pursue the light, but Stella is found by the guards as soon as they arrive. With his paintball pistol, Ivan creates an electric fault just as Michelle, who is invisible, enters. He observes Giovanna and Andrage, who have teamed up to search for Michelle, being watched by Basili and his men. Subsequently, he penetrates deeper and knocks out a guard. He threatens the other guard with a gun, threatening him to release the cell that traps Stella and the others. When Michelle shows himself to his buddies, they are astonished beyond belief as he frees them and traps the guards inside. Stella demands that the lad save an elderly guy she saw confined in a different chamber, even though the boys want to flee. Stella brings the man to the criminals and aims a gun at Michelle as she and Michelle attempt to save him. Abruptly, she passes out, and the elderly guy behind her begins to speak. It transpires that he possesses the ability to manipulate thought. For Michelle's sake, he has been manipulating Basili and Stella. Subsequently, he submerges a submarine and places Michelle and Stella inside. The two are taken into the sea by the guys. At that moment, Ivan is met at the location by Andrage and Giovanna. The structure is scheduled to blow up in a matter of seconds. Basili and the two kidnapped children are swiftly rescued from inside. Andrage discovers that someone was in control of Basili after reading his thoughts. They flee from the building immediately before it blows up into bits. When Michelle returns to the submersible, he uses his telekinesis ability to destroy everything around him. He uses his abilities to knock out the henchmen and keep Stella and himself safe. When they eventually return to the shore, a large crowd is waiting for them. Michel shows off his strength by becoming invisible in front of them. Michel is informed by Andreji that they will need to erase everyone's memory as the division would be searching for them once more. Stella receives her final kiss from Michel, who obliges. After wiping out everyone's memories, Andreji assures Michel he will return and then departs. Following that, everyone resumes their regular lives. The action then cuts to a location in Russia. Thought to be dead, Michel's mother was just slightly hurt during the incident. Back then, she had won the division, and today she is in charge of it. Actually, it was she who dispatched those individuals to retrieve Michel for her. The woman is now opposed to everyone who is normal and treats them like freaks. Finally, a guard tells her that, despite their failure to get Michel, they have located his twin sister Natasha. We can see from a previous tape that on that particular day, Andreji fled with 2 kids. A sequel is hinted at when the guard informs Michel's mother that Natasha is somewhere in Morocco as the movie ends. If you enjoy this video, please hit the like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos like this. Thanks for watching.